founder of Trend Tools. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Like this? Better? Okay, thank you. I'm very happy to be here in person and to explain a bit about my book, Generation Zalpha, which is a book on two generations. It's about Gen Z and it's about Gen Alpha. Specifically, I'm talking about, okay, like this. Specifically, I'm talking about a generation that is in between two generations, like the micro generation, um, like the kids that grew up, that were tweens in between during the pandemic. So they were like 10 till 14 years during the pandemic. I call them the Zalphas, but you can call them the virtual natives as well, you know, as they grew up in virtual worlds and they have a very specific view on realities. If I said that I'm very happy to be here in person, it's because I want to tell something about a sub-trend that is a result of the pandemic. You know, after every pandemic, lots of things happening, and especially to young people. The impact was amazing and very great, but as well on the digital level, of course. And one of the trends I would like to describe to start with is the trend hyperphysicality. And hyperphysicality goes about to experience an extra experience. If you notice this is something you can book on Booking. It's a place to stay, but it's the house of Winnie the Pooh. So it's like an extra experience you get. Because, you know, what happened during the pandemic is that we all were like feeling in a comfort zone. Yes, we were nesting, we were staying at home, and something changed in our mindset drastically. You know, you notice too that today, when you have a meeting, before when we had meetings, we were never thinking about it's a digital meeting. Now we think, you know, do we have to do this in person? Yes? So it changed a bit from the fear of missing out into the fear of going out. So what I mean with hyperphysicality is that if you organize something, yes, and you don't want to go from the fear of missing out to the fear of going out, you have to make it worth, yes? You have to make a very good impression. So we work a lot in retail surroundings, and you see what's happening in retail surroundings. You know, it's about, you know, attracting people, hyperphysical experiences, colors, attractful. Balenciaga, you know, work on touch, you know, because we work a lot for retail, making sure that the experience, you know, is worth it. I travel a lot with my team to Southeast Asia, to Seoul. We do a lot of trend tours there. It's an amazing, inspiring environment. You know, if you go to retail stores in Seoul and in Japan, you know, they sell their happiness per square meter, not products per square meter, but experience per square meter. You know, it's amazing. It's hyperphysicality. So, you know, it gives like a good feeling. Every month they have like an art installation within their ground floor, the most expensive place. Yes? So, and their products are like in the basement or on the first level. Yes? This is Gentle Monster. You have it here in Riyadh as well. It's like glasses, you know. It's a very famous brand, but it's very popular. Or these kind of things, you know, in a retail store, digital humans talking, discussing each other, you know, using new technology to create an extra experience. So it's about creating digital humans, but this is not a topic for today. So I'm the founder of Trend Tools. We're a youth cultural foresight company on a global level, and what we do, we help companies in engaging, understanding, and retaining youngsters in a better way. It's not only about generations, it's about life stages. And if you want to understand youth culture, you really have to dive deep. You have to talk with them, of course, you know. And one of the things we do is we work on what we called micro trends. So it's like the little changements in youth culture that are worth, following, because they can create a bigger trend to the future. In a way, it's normal. If you understand youth, you can predict the future because you know who they are. You know their wishes, their wants, their needs, their aspirations. And this is what we do at Trendful. So we work on subcultures. We're mentioned in magazines globally a lot. On subcultures, understanding subcultures, because like they're the engines of social cohesion. If you understand subcultures and youth culture, you understand where the future brings us. So it's about culture mapping, very interesting, aspirations, needs, connecting the dots. This is what we do, and we put it in reports, that we use then to advise banks, companies, travel organizations, and so on. So these are the kind of clients we work for worldwide. We did, for example, within Europe, we did the go-to-market for Hello Bank, the digital bank, to connect with youngsters in a better way. I said we often go to Southeast Asia. I can really advise you, go there, open your eyes. If you need inspiration, I can always send you a trend tour that you can use. It's an amazing place, Seoul, Tokyo, Singapore, amazing places to get inspiration. Is anybody knowing what this is? Somebody knows? Squid Games, yeah. It's about cultural influence. And it's amazing. It's about K-pop, it's about G-pop, it's about T-pop. And the impact on youth culture is amazing globally. It's amazing, You see it in a lot of things. When we do the retail trends, we have a lot of things we do. We go to, I can go back. I saw you wanted to take a picture, yes, about the retail trends. So, but we go to a lot of places like food innovation, Nurasa, you should go there. It's amazing, like cell meat producing, it's so cool what you see there. It's really inspiration, like ideas. You come home with 100 ideas. So it's very important. So for Deutsche Telekom, we did the go-to-market, for example. And I want to show you this because I think it's crucial. From Trend Tools, we try to work on impact, creating campaigns that create impact. We all know that Gen Z, born after 1995, doesn't like to call anymore. Yes, we all know. They come from text culture. They're afraid to order a pizza, by the way. Yes, if they have to call at work, they're afraid to call. Yes, they all want to text, and it's normal because technology pushed them in that direction. So together with a client in Belgium, AXA Group, we started a whole project where we learn youngsters how to call again. We give them call coaching. Because, calling, it's a life skill. It's about confidence. The more you call, the more confidence you get. And it's a life skill you need for the future. And a lot of youngsters didn't learn how to call because they were constantly texting. And texting is a different kind of communication than speaking with each other. You don't hear the voice, the intonation, you don't get rejected, you don't grow up with it. So this kind of projects we really like to do. It's what I said, the prevalence of phone anxiety, the preference for text communication, and the kind of workshops we're organizing. Of course, we recruit them online, with skits, and we do Edu Talk, and then we let them land. It's a kind of recruitment strategy as well, at the client place. So about my book, I'm sorry. To start with, I have a trend agency, and the amazing thing about the trend agency is that for every trend you have a contra trend, so you can never be wrong. Yes. So the cool thing about that is that often in the anti-trend, the innovation lies, and you have more time to follow this. So one of the things you see, for example, for the moment, amongst young people, is the rise of vinyl, records, things that are touchable, you know. This is very popular for the moment. It's like a growing thing. You see in Seoul, just to give you an inspiration, you see record clubs and stores. Young kids, they come in a club, they take records from the shelf, they go to sit at a table, they put a record on an old player, and they talk about the record. It's about when you go in a society very on the high speed with digital, youngsters more and more need place, you know, to calm down, to be more mindful, you know. Analog things are important. It's original, it's authentic, yes? And you have a lot of this kind of, you know, record clubs over there. Photography, analog photography, booming clubs all over the world, yes? So youngsters are really into the touchable things anymore. So when you look at youngsters and you ask them a question, worldwide, 82% of them is immediately watching their phone. So every strategy you develop should be directed to their mobile phone, of course, yes? In a way, they're a kind of cyborgs, but they don't know it themselves, yes? On average, they pick up their phone 80 till 90 times a day, yes? I was like in Seoul, in the MasterCard Innovation Center, and the amazing stuff was they could see if the daughter, the son, or the wife was picking up the phone from the husband, yes, and how the phone was reacting. And then they can send specific information. So a lot of things are happening. One of the values of characteristics that young people have is that they're not very patient, yes? It has to go, you know, instant gratification, immediately. I see a lot of young people here saying, yes, it's like this, you know. Why to wait for tomorrow if you can have it now? Yes, so instant gratification. So the whole trend, the need for speed, is very present at Gen Z. You know, you can even call it like dopamine culture, you know. It was an evolution. If you look at it anthropologically, on an anthropological way, it's something you see. You know, if you look at journalism, we went from newspapers into multimedia, into clickbaits, for example, you know, and you can, you know, address this to all elements. Important, if you look at young people, the International Broadcast Trend Report was mentioning this. They were creating media personalities. And more than 30% is digital simultasking. Remember this word? Digital simultasking. So what they do, they're all short, snappy scrollers. They get information, they look at it, and they just consume it very quickly, yes? If they're interested, they go deeper into it. The whole area of Google is over, yes? So what you see is that young people, you know, get their information from channels like Instagram, TikTok, Meta, for example, yes? And you see that youngsters everywhere, you know, the group 16 to 24, are like doing the in-stream from this kind of applications. 61 of Gen Z reported using AI instead of Google to find information. So when they find something, and it's like to them, they go on Google to check it later, but they first see the information on another channel. So they're like social simultaskers. So it's about this convenience, addictive convenience. We're all like this, you know? When we order something online, let's say we order food online, after half an hour we watch, you know, where is this guy? So for us it should, you know, speed is very important as well. So we're all online, taking pictures, being busy. You know, you see whole audiences like really living in their phone, creating data. We all create data. 90% of the data in the world today has been created in the last 2 years. Crazy. We all make data. If you look at young people, 82% of them are creating video content online. They're mixing, remixing content. It's incredible. You know, I'm talking, for example, only about fandom worldwide, fans about Star Wars, of House of Dragons, whatever. They create so much content. They interpret it. They use AI to make new reels, new content. So it's mass production by the consumers. They're prosumers. They produce content themselves. So we're all busy, taking phones, being busy, and then, we come home and, we're fed up, It's too much. And what you see, this is a number of Belgians, but more than half of youngers worldwide as well report to be lonely. Yes? Impact of the pandemic, of course, too, It had a huge impact on them. Gen Z feels 3 times more lonely than baby boomers. Facts show. Youngsters, they have minus 1,000 hours of in-person connection per year compared to 2 decades ago. Do you realize this? It's crazy. So less human connection, less calling. Yes? No phone calls. So the impact of technology on how young humans are existing is tremendous. Burnouts, it's logical, yes? The pressure on them. And of course we don't want situations like in South Korea and Japan, like the hikikomori. Hikikomori are especially young boys that are not leaving their home space anymore for more than 1 year. So they only live online, behind screens. Crazy. So every trend has a contra-trend, and the contra-trend is digital detox. So you see it coming. More and more want silent retreats, mindfulness. I can advise you this, how to digital detox. It's like in the UK, a program that's very interesting. So if you want to target young people, go back. This? Okay. Yeah. You want to digital detox? Okay. So the challenge is, if you want to target young people and you want to engage them and you want to involve them, co-create with them, of course. Because young people, they're really very well informed and very critical. It's one of the C's from youth engagement. They're critical. Yes? Well informed. There's not something like the youngster. There's not one size fits all. They're all different. We're all different. They're different too. So you don't have one target group. Humor, very important. They have a very unique perspective on the world. Yes? Very important to use humor in your strategies. Young kids are amazing. They often come with very inspiring solutions for a problem that is important at that time for them. Yes? And they solve it. Yes? When they're students, they need to solve it, they just solve it. They're digital strong, of course, and in the margin. What I mean with that is that I'm convinced that for a young person today, it's much more difficult to raise, to grow up, than 2 decades ago. Why? 2 decades ago, you just had to look around you for your role models. Now they have to compete with the whole world. Yes? Not only with real persons, but with virtual persons, with hybrid persons. Yes? So, complicated. Visual culture is complicated. The good thing is subcultures are coming up. And for us as a researcher, it's amazing, because you can link it to campaigning and strategies, like young girls in Finland jumping over little edges. Yes? And of course, you have all this kind of youth culture stuff, like the Vocaloids, like Hatsune Miku. The importance they have is amazing. Anime, Vocaloids, big, big, big. If you look at virtual influencers, for example, and some of the most popular worldwide, the reach they have, like Lil Miquela, for example, it's so great, the reach is huge on different channels, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Twitch, of course, the gaming platform. This is youth culture too. Cosplay, indeed, costume players. It's their role models. They go to this cosplay cons, yes? And you know, in the beginning, when I was doing this, saying this, they said to me, hey, Martin, you know, it's like such little subculture. I don't know, you know? Such fairs attract 40,000 youngsters a day. So my advice is, if you want to target young people, go to the places where they are, you know? You have to go where they are. And this is, for example, a place where they are. Because it comes, of course, from South Korea, you know, Seongsu, these regions, you know, where you have the cosplay Halloween connection, the combination. Brands are working. We helped Eastpak, for example, with this campaign because they use this inspiration to create campaigns and to target groups. And anime, of course, very important for young people. But I know that SA, Saudi Arabia, has, you know, already like Arabic manga as well, which is big and a very good approach, by the way. Very good done. Gaming, important. What I think is amazing is how many women gamers there are in Saudi Arabia. I think on average more than in the whole world. So it's wonderful that you have this, your own fairs as well. If you look at media consumption and you look at the online time, you see that the daily spend of youngsters these days is 7 hours, which is a lot. And if you then look at channels that are popular, don't forget the obvious ones, like Duolingo, for example. Hugely popular if you want to advertise and reach them, very popular. And if you look at the numbers, you see Snap, very important, Insta, YouTube, Netflix, and TikTok, of course. So the only thing I still would like to say is that TikTok is getting big. They search online, is their first online source to search things. But what worries me sometimes is all the side things that are happening on TikTok. Yes, this is happening too, like what they call loud quitting. So youngsters just quit their job and they use TikTok to say why they quit. You know, so something that is happening for the moment. But if you look at the global risk report, you know, made by the World Economic Forum, they make it every 2 years. And if you looked at the top was misinformation, disinformation, extreme weather events, and polarization, so we against you. One of the things I see there is what worries me is that misinformation plays an important role on the social networks, yes, like TikTok, and it's something we have to be aware of. 33% of the Gen Zers trust TikTok more than doctors, a new survey shows. I repeat, more than 30% of the youngsters believe in America more TikTok than their own doctor. You don't want to know what kind of advices you get, health advices on TikTok. Yes? 41% of teenagers can tell the difference in between true and fake online hate message. So the impact of the social networks is big. It has positive sides and opposite sides, but I think it's a role, I think personally, from a government to take care about such kind of things. So when I'm talking about Gen Zalpha, which is like the tweens, the teens in between 10 and 14 years old, it's like the early development stage, very important period. It's a period, you know, when you're like not a kid anymore and you turn to become a teenager, so you're open to a lot of things. You're very influensive at that period as well. But of course they grew up in a very visual world. You know, often they're already there, visualized, without being there, yes? So, and what you see is that the young parents, you know, that are like, you know, the Gen Yers, you know, they're very open to technology because they were raised with Facebook and, you know, all the social networks, so they were the digital natives. So at one hand, they're very open, at the other hand, they're worrying about it, of course, you know? And what you see is that you have like an oversharing of content, which they call sharenting, which is a huge problem, on identity theft, for example, yes, and online fraud. Because the more information you put from your children online, the more details data brokers know about, what you're doing. And this is an important one. We all know Steve Jobs. And in the hardware cycle of Apple, they developed the iPad. And, what I would like to say about the iPad is that a lot of young parents, I was like this too at that time, said, well, this is an amazing educational tool for my kids. Yes? So we all bought iPads for our kids. So what happened since then? Amazing. Every second, 2 children go online for the very first time. 40% of the new internet users worldwide are children. It's crazy. And they're all on iPads. You see them in their strollers on iPad. So they see this content already from a very early stage. And what happens, of course, they not all want to become a doctor anymore. They saw from their older brothers and sisters with PewDiePie, they all want to become a YouTuber, of course. They want to yell, the YouTube movies and the followers, they want to yell and to follow, yes? So if you then look at the usage of new technology, like OpenAI, you see that kids are already using OpenAI and new technology in on a very big scale. This is what from another research we did. I thought this is interesting, just to mention. This is about Gen Z. And 54% of them say it's on a global level. I get better advice from ChatGPT than from my boss. No? So, okay. So what happened, and I'm about to finish, what happened during the pandemic is parents were at home, there was financial insecurity, there was like insecurity about health, and suddenly they were stuck at home. And they addressed for their social interaction into virtual worlds. And this kind of things happened. So all know Roblox, yes, and Minecraft. And Roblox create like worlds, of course. And in that worlds, the kids can play. So in that playgrounds, they can try out, digital shirts or pants. They get them for free. But I know because I worked on the other side, the impact of that is that when thousands of young people are taking that digital shirt, why not to produce it in real life? Yes? So it's very interesting for them. So you see a lot of things happening, a lot of things that happen online, in the digital world, Dress to Impress, and how the girls are walking and then they go to a shop and then they walk like to Dress to Impress. So you see a lot of things going on. We created a lot of cool concepts where we, for example, in Belgium for the moment, to help the Federation of the Textile Wood and Wood Industry, we digitized